What? What'd you say? Okay. All right, fine.
By the way, even we should have more.
Right.
Bring back up. Parents had COVID.
Oh, no. Ma'am. Everybody here.
Yeah, I think I don't forget what it's gonna be. Whenever I have. I met her. Yeah, she was. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
My name is Isaac Heschel, and I have the pleasure of serving as the chairperson of this Community Action Board. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to continue to do the vital work we do in order to help the needy for this great city. I'll now ask our secretary to do the roll call.
Good evening. Okay. Honorable Adrian Adams, Tyrell Hankerson, or Lynette Shelbourne Barfield. Valerie Vasquez or Christian Williams? Yes? Okay. Amber Adler?
Present.
Online, okay. Honorable Brian Cunningham. You're here. Dr. Christopher, is it Weimer or Weimer or Shyla Ross? Reverend Ruben Cruz. Melissa Del Valle Ortiz. Nicholas Thompson or Tiffany Aguayo Carlson. Gregory Hambrick. Okay. Nelson Palacios or Angel Gaud Jr. Joshua Pacheco. Mariel Ali. Okay, so that we would have. Can't see the name. Paul. I can't see the name. Paul Mai. Gideon Dunkley. No. Mari Moss. Okay. Joseph Pierre. Clivis Pena. Diletta Pina. Yeah. Alex Cuevas or Christine Delayus. Donovan Swanson. Is he online? No. Susan is here. Susan Tenenbaum. And what about, okay. Jackie Rowe Adams.
She's online.
Is she? Okay. Yeah, no, I saw that, Chad Royer.
He's online.
Okay.
Royer present.
Honorable Althea, oh, I'm sorry, Tyreek Israel.
We have, sorry, we're ready.
Yes, Greer Mayhew for Councilman Matthew Stevens.
I can't hear. Greer May is in place of.
Right,
Okay,
so you can check.
Okay, for Althea Stevens.
Yeah, that's the last.
Thank you.
Christopher.
Christopher Toomer. No. Shane Miller or Sheen Wu. Abby Rubin Pope or Faith Behum. Nora Moran or Kate Connolly. No. Samantha Moyle. Linda Walters. Oh, there you are. Hannah Zarzar. And that's the roll call. Do I have to roll call?
We have,
Okay, we achieved quorum. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Okay.
Board would like to recognize the election of L. Kim Robinson as the CAB Region number 12 representative. L. Kim Robinson is a passionate, committed community advocate who dedicates her time, experience, skills, and talents to the betterment of others. She migrated from Granada
That's First Street.
Hello?
at the age of 11, the eldest of 5 children. She's a mother, grandmother, and caregiver, exemplifying the values of compassion and dedication in her personal life. A very active parent in her children's education, serving as PTA president for the Orchard Collegiate Academy. She currently serves as the recording secretary for the 77th Precinct Community Council, working closely with the 77th Precinct Community Affairs officers to bring events and resources to the youth in the community. She also serves as a committee member on the Community Board 8 Land Use, Housing Safety, Health, Human Services, and Economic Development, and was until recently the secretary of the Neighborhood Advisory Board Brooklyn 8. Welcome aboard. Kim, we're going to officially vote to recognize you as a member and entertain a motion to accept Ms. Ross as a member of our board. Motion to accept. Linda seconding. And all those in favor say aye. Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Welcome aboard. If you want to make a quick introductory comment, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm just coming in. I got caught up in traffic. I was hoping to be, come online on Zoom, and I'm out on the driveway trying to find parking, but I look forward to working with everyone, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve.
Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. We will now recognize the election of Mr. Gene Edwards Jr. as the CAB Region number 2 representative. Mr. Edwards is an experienced community and district leader, passionate about creating opportunities for the displaced, low-income, marginalized individuals and communities, providing direct support for the members of the 79th District of the Bronx, offering programming for residents of the New York City Housing Authority, at-risk and rehabilitated individuals in the Harlem area, veterans and students to help them improve their quality of life. Former chairperson of NAB Bronx 4, oversaw strategies and execution of spending for the community block service grants for programming with the neighborhood development area plans for communities of the Highbridge, Lower Grand Concourse, and Concourse Village. Organized and executed the 500-man summit from 2005 to 2010, providing at-risk and displaced men in the Holland area with programming supporting job readiness and financial well-being, and is a United States Navy veteran. Mr. Edward, thank you for your service. We will now entertain a motion to accept Mr. Edwards to our board. Motion to accept. Ray, seconded by? Seconded by Don. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Welcome aboard, sir. And if you would like to give a brief comment, please do so. No, okay. I'm going to read a letter from the mayor. The Honorable Cadell Claire, New York State Senate. Dear Senator Claire, pursuant to the authority granted to me as mayor and chief elected officer of the city of New York, in accordance with the Community Service Block Grant and the bylaws of the New York City Community Action Board, I hereby appoint you as an elected public official member of the New York City Community Action Board. Your term on the CAB will be concurrent with your current term in public office. Your service on CAB will help to bring critical resources to local communities while helping develop the programs and tools necessary to fight poverty across the city of New York. Sincerely, Eric Adams, Mayor. It's a pleasure to have the Honorable Senator as part of our board. Welcome, sir. If you'd like to say a few words, please do so.
But she's not here, and she didn't have a chance to send
Okay.
a representative, so the next meeting.
In your board packet, you should have had the minutes of our previous meeting, which occurred on June 12th. We'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting. Motion to accept, seconded by Graves. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. We'll now ask the very talented artist and moving the Senior Budget Director of Community Development and Grants Management to present the financial program quarterly report. Artist?
Thanks, Anita. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Artis Sandogan. I'm the Senior Budget Director at DYCD, the Grants Management and Revenue Unit. I'm here today to present the financial report for this CAB meeting. This is our first report for city fiscal year 26, and we have a budget of $33.6 million. Yes, we have a budget of $33.6 million, of which $26 million is allocated to the program contracts, $2.5 million is allocated to other contractual services, and DYCDPS for personal services is $5.1 million. The program contracts amount represents 77% of the award. And the other contractual, 7%, followed by 15% for DYCD personal services. If you take a look at the program contracts, $26 million is allocated across 6 DYCD programs, The bulk of which sits in the neighborhood development group at $14.1 million. The next highest number is the SYP program at $3.4 million. The Immigration Services Program has a budget of 3.1. Adult literacy is 2.1 million. Fatherhood contracts is 2.5 million. Adolescent literacy is just under $1 million, 950,000. Year-to-date invoice is very low, which is normal for this time of the year. SYP, which is also normal this time of the year, has 100% spending rate because the program takes part, happens in July and August of every year, so by now we have the full expenses in. We have small amounts in the NDA and the adult literacy programs. The biggest numbers here we can see on the screen is what we've dispersed or paid out to our providers so far. We've paid out 52% of our budget, and you can see that most of those programs have received at least 30% of advances from DYCD. We have the NDA program coming in at 48%, Immigration Services is 45%, adult literacy is 44%, fatherhood is 30%, and adolescent literacy is at 50%. So what's left to be dispersed for the rest of the year is $12.4 million. At the recent CAB Executive Board, we were asked to add budgeted enrollment numbers to our report. So you can see that in the second to last column to the right. We have the NDA group, that's just over 11,000 participants being served, just over 2,000 for the immigration programs, 1,700 for adult literacy, just over 1,000 for fatherhood, adolescent literacy, at 159 participants, and the SYP at 1,559 participants, totaling 17,725 participants being served. Those programs are awarded to over 132 contracts, with the bulk of it obviously being in the NDA program, 72. Other contractual services, the big areas there are the technical assistance contracts and the bucket for administrative other than personal services. The full planning for this bucket has not been finalized as yet. There's conversations in the works, but just under $1 million have been allocated to that. Technical assistance is about $1.3 million, and we have some smaller categories rounding out that, such as fiscal field reviews, fiscal agent services, stipends for the CAB and NAB board members, and central insurance program. There's no spending to date for that category. There's also no spending to date for the DYCD personal services category. We compile those numbers on a quarterly basis, so we don't do that on a month-by-month basis. We closed out city fiscal year 25. It's a very stressful close this year, Joanna. For a number of reasons, I won't get into those, but we closed city fiscal year 25 projecting the NDA group to spend at a 92% rate and the other program areas to spend at around a 96% rate. So that's very similar to what's occurred in the past. Those rates are actually based on prior year spending, so we use prior year spending to project the future. So how the previous years closed at that amount, and so we're projecting that FY25 will also close at that amount. And that's my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Susan?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Artis, as always, and appreciate you adding the enrollment numbers to these contracts, super helpful. Just kind of curious, especially understanding that DYCD is expanding its fatherhood initiative piece, and this might be you might not be able to answer on site, but I would love to know how much of the CSBG funding, considering with the total expansion, how much funding for fatherhood initiative is CSBG funded with the expansion in mind?
Sure, I can't answer that at the moment.
Okay.
If you want to know of the entire fatherhood portfolio, what percentage of CSBG funds fund?
Yes, understanding that with this expansion, right, that this administration has committed to, I would just love to understand in that context how much of that portfolio is made up of CSBG.
Sure, and as you would know, I can only give you those numbers if they're public, if we're still in conversations about it, I
Yeah.
can't provide that information. But if the numbers are public and it's published in the city's books, I'll certainly get that information to you at the next board meeting.
Perfect, thank you. I believe the administration announced how much.
Okay,
they were
I'm
dedicated
not-
to. I believe in
I'm
the
not
press
in on
release, yeah,
I don't really get involved in the CTL portions of
got
it,
it.
but you're probably right.
Yeah, and then, so then within that safe space on the fatherhood initiative piece, understanding that this expansion and that the city is excited, why so low a disbursement rate to date for those contracts?
So the reason why it's so low is because there's no invoice that the providers have submitted for us to reimburse them for. If you look at the total year-to-date invoice of a $14 million NDA program, we've received invoices of just over $11,000. Generally, provided, this is the third month of the city fiscal year. As a rule, UIC providers do not submit invoices early on. They already backdate their invoices. And one of the reasons that they can do that is because the UIC gives an advance that they can use to have the program up and running, to hire staff and so on, and they don't need to submit an invoice while they have that advance.
And
Well, not that they don't need to, but they don't have to because they have funds.
got it. And then my last question specifically, and I know every time we talk about the technical, so the other contractual services, and you don't really focus on it too much, but knowing that there was borough's consultation today with DYCD for the borough of Brooklyn, and there was the recent oversight hearing, the hearing capacity building all today. So I was just curious if you could share in the technical assistance line, what if any capacity building services are being offered to providers?
I think I'm gonna ask Mike to help me with that question.
Thank you.
I can talk the numbers, but he can talk the details.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So I'll wait for all the questions.
Please let me not seem dramatic walking up here because my answer is actually very, very short. Since the pandemic, the capacity building mix has shifted somewhat. We used to do a lot of large scale trainings, and we were able, through the use of technology, to shift to a lot of workshops and online trainings. I don't want to misquote or misrepresent that beyond my recollection, so I think what we want to do is do a targeted presentation from CAB. So for the benefit of the whole, CAB capacity building is one of the units under the program integration and evaluation team. And so we'll have them come and we can sort of break out how those monies are being spent. Is everyone familiar with the family development credential? So we'll do a presentation on that as well. Okay, and Anita will keep me honest. Oh, well, okay, well, we'll do it there, and then they can report it back in strategic partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Good evening, Harvest. Hi. A few simple questions. Can you tell us if the year-to-date disbursements this year are, and at this point in the year, are similar to a year ago, or are there any changes that we should be aware of?
It's actually higher this year. Last year, the maximum advance that a provider would get is 30% of their budget. This year, it's 50% for a lot of program areas, and some program areas, and I'm not sure if CSBG is one of those, there's an 80% advance. Actually, I don't think CSBG is one of those, it's revenue funded contracts, so, but yes, all DYCD providers in city fiscal year 26 had the ability to receive an advance of 50% of their reward.
Okay, so these numbers then are reflective of that.
Yes, that's the only thing we paid to the, other than the 11,000 for NDA and the 2,000 for adult literacy.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, the SYP is not paid to providers, it's paid directly to the participants of the program.
Right.
So we don't give that money, we give money to the contractors who run that, but the money that you see here, all of CSBG funds in SYP is paid for participant wages.
Right. Thank you. Another question, adolescent literacy. If I'm reading this correctly, the budgeted enrollment is 159.
It's a very small program.
There's, oh,
Yes, it's like, I think it's about 8 contracts. The price per participant is like around $5,000. And again, I might call them like to talk about exactly what services they provide. But it's a small program.
at this point, I guess my question was, how does that compare to the target numbers? Was there,
So the budget enrollment versus the actual enrolled, you mean?
or sort of, was there a target number, enrollment number?
So this 159 is the target enrollment for city fiscal year 26. These numbers are all budgeted enrolled. We wouldn't know how many are enrolled for the entire year until the year is ended.
Gotcha. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, and the last question is, we noticed that, under, sorry, CAB stipends, none of them have been distributed. Did you tell us why that is?
I'm sorry, I can't. Generally, how it works, we utilize a payment service called the YMS. What's YMS stands for? Some kind of payroll system. Some kind of payroll system. And some small providers at DYCE also utilize them, but we utilize it for them to pay some of these small expenses that we have. So NAB and CAB board members know that when they have a claim, they send it to YMS. YMS then compiles it, and I believe they send it on a monthly basis to DYCD, but I'm not sure. I can find out. And once YMS sends it to DYCD, DYCD sends out checks and sends it out.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. And if you don't send your invoices in, we can't pay you. So here's a push to send your invoices in.
I just wanted to jump in and attend to your question because it's sort of a programmatic one. And so I want to remind you and the board that at the November CAB meeting, we will, as we've done for the past several years, do sort of a year-end review. And so adolescent literacy along with the rest of the CSBG portfolio, we'll go over the projected actual results and also our analysis of how things went. So that would be
Thanks, Mike.
Question, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Yes, I'm concerned about next year's budget. Well, more so next year when it comes to the 7 year. Because I know there's a lot of programs that are being cut. So how are we looking towards next year?
I'm afraid I don't have any information to answer that question at the moment.
When will you know, or when will we know?
Well, I know SYP is made up of funding from city tax levy mostly. It's probably nearly 90% city tax levy, small portion of CSBG, and about $30 million of TANF funds. We generally know about CSBG now. We know that we have a budget of $3.4 million for next year's SYP for CSBG, right? We usually get the TANF awards sometime around May. So May before the program starts in July and August. And as far as city tax levy, there has been no indication that the budget is cut. So we haven't heard anything of that as yet. I'm not sure if we'll be pegged for programs to eliminate the gap. Now that the adopts happened, and these are things that happen, but we have no indication that any of that is happening at the moment. You're welcome.
Any further questions? Thank you very much for your
Hi,
report.
Chair. Yes, I have a question. This is Marielle Ali online. Ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. Just a follow-up to some of the comments that were made earlier. Could you share, if you haven't already, why there was a decision to increase the maximum advance from 30% to 50%?
I think it was in a reaction to providers' concerns, that they were not, they were having cash flow issues because of that. And DYCD, the city listened, and they made those changes.
That's great. I think it's especially in this environment, that DYCD was able to be agile and kind of be responsive to the needs of our service providers. So thank you for that.
Good to hear the feedback. I'll pass it on to my superiors.
Yes, yeah, no, I think that's, I work in this space professionally, and so it's, we're seeing that across the board, unfortunately. And then my final question is a follow-up to the question that was posed around, what will we do? Obviously, we're seeing the clawback of federal funding across the board, not just the threats, but the actual clawback of these fundings. And so would it be helpful to hear either from you or from other colleagues at DYCD,
what kind of action planning is in place, how are we mitigating some of these things to ensure that, New Yorkers are still receiving the support that they deserve. Thank you.
Absolutely. I can't above my pay grade. But I know that we have not heard from our major federal funding sources that we expect a cut. So we're assuming that business will happen as usual, but actually Sarah can answer that question.
I'll just add.
I had a response.
Oh, you do also. Sorry, Mike, do you want to come up again? Just sort of a quick update. So I think many of you know this federal fiscal year starts October 1. So right now we're sort of, we're still at the very end of a fiscal year. It's not looking like they're going to have a new budget ready for October 1st, a new appropriation. So will very likely be a continuing resolution that will keep things funded sort of at the same levels until the Congress and the president are able to reach an agreement on that. But we do have the good news in that Mike does have the specific numbers in front of him, but both houses of Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, in the Appropriations Committee have released versions of the appropriation bill for HHS. And both of them have included full funding for CSBG, level funding or higher. So that's really, assuming that goes through, we shouldn't see a reduction in CSBG funds. And both of those also included the language that we've seen since the start of the COVID pandemic that increases the income threshold to 200% of the federal poverty level. So we're really relieved to see that. But I always sort of have the warning that, we have seen, not for CSBG, but in general, we have seen, right, with this current federal administration, that there have been situations where they are trying to hold back funds that were appropriated already or allocated already. So we have a lot of contact with the city's law department to make sure that we are that we're informed on any of the sort of potential changes or threats. But as of now, we have not had to make any changes to our CSBG programs. And we do see moving forward, at least for CSBG, it looks like Congress has the intention of funding it at least at the current amount. Thanks.
That's super helpful, thank you. I think this in general, I'm sure this is already happening, because we have seen this happen in other spaces, always having that plan B just in case. Thank you.
We'll now entertain a motion to accept the financial program quarterly report. Motion to accept, Mary Moss, seconded by Hannah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Now it gives me great pleasure to have our distinguished Deputy Commissioner Mike Bobbitt make a dramatic walk up to the podium and present the commissioner's report.
Yep. Thanks. Got the section before that, right? Yep, probably.
Thank you, Alina.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Cal. And thank you, Sarah, for shortening my presentation. So the first item was about the CSBG funding. I know there's been concerns about that. Obviously, Intergov is monitoring, and I have in my notes the Senate proposals at the current level, whereas the House proposed an increase of $810 million, whereas the current funding is $770. So we'll see what happens, but I know that Intergov is monitoring that on behalf of the agency. So I'll move on to something else. The National Community Action Partnership, we've reported on this a few times in the past, and CAB members who've been with us for a while will remember we hosted not that long ago. Last month, Associate Commissioner Ebony Jordan Wilson, Director Sherman Oliveira, and I represented DYC at the National Community Action Partnership Convention in Detroit with about 1,700 other attendees. This is the national gathering of community action agencies. We met with representatives across our region, so that's New York and New Jersey. We attended several different workshops and networked with several other public community action agencies in particular. Ebony and Sherman deserve a measure of credit and applause. They led a discussion entitled Navigating Fatherhood While Incarcerated. And I promised not to stay in their session, but I went to the beginning and I popped back in at the end. Very well attended from colleagues around the country who are interested about the issue and very curious to hear about how our pilot has gone, which I've reported previously has been going very well with New York City Department of Corrections. While at the convention partnership, I had an opportunity to touch base with the leadership at Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families, as well as National Community Action Partnership, the National Community Action Foundation. The foundation is the entity that is the lobbyist for CSBG. So some of the information that Sarah monitors has been courtesy of their lobbying, their bipartisan efforts to sustain CSBG. And I also had an opportunity to brainstorm with the leadership at NISCA about ways to assist Puerto Rico. So for those unaware, our region for our federal CSBG funding includes New York, New Jersey, Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Not a lot of meetings get held in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. I've noticed it's usually New York and New Jersey. But partly because a lot of hurricanes and other things, there's problems with the operations of the 4 community action agencies in Puerto Rico. And for many reasons, our size, our breadth, NISCA has been asking DYC if we could maybe somehow get involved in helping strengthen that. So I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I wanted to let you know we try to be good stewards and good partners. So I'll let you know when we know more. Moving on to New York State Department of State. On September 4th, DYC met with the Department of State. DOS reviewed our score for our annual and our triennial reporting. I'm always talking to this group about both the across and the tracks. So our review of the across, we met 38 of the 47 national organizational standards and 42 out of 48 of the national organizational standards on 125 of 137 indicators of excellence, which is pretty good, but we always want to do 100%. So reporting, full accountability about where we stand. Most of the unmet standards relate to the strategic plan, and DYC has several next steps planned, including sharing the minutes from the June CAB meeting, probably this meeting and the next meeting. And we're also drafting and hope soon to finalize a summary of the strategic objectives. And so once our commissioner and the deputy mayor approve that, we'll share that with the state to demonstrate how we're meeting those standards. Because some of it is about codifying stuff that we've already reported in committee recently, we've recently put in place. And I was going to say the CAB is not currently in compliance with the legislation and bylaws due to the number of vacancies, but it's already been reported. You read into the record, the public member was seated. Fantastic. And we have 3 new members. So we should be in compliance. We should be pretty close to being able to demonstrate compliance. So I'm pleased for one to hear about that. On September 15th, Department of State advised us there was a preliminary injunction that pauses implementation of U.S. Department of Health and Human Services notice requiring verification of immigration status to determine eligibility for CSBG and other programs. And I know some board members have been concerned or expressed concerns about that proposed federal policy. So we were advised by the state of this injunction and reminded that HHS cannot implement or enforce immigration verification requirements for the time being. So it's business as usual for us, and we will continue to monitor that situation. Thank you to the board. The CSBG refunding application was completed and transmitted yesterday. Moving on, New York State Community Action Association has developed communities of practice. And so I'm pleased to share that a couple of members of my team, Frances Yen, who we've moved to a new role. Probably the last time any of you saw Frances, she was in the Immigration and Literacy unit. She is now in charge of our systems compliance and validation team. So she and one of her staff, Shamika, have joined NISCA's data community of practice. And that focuses on data issues, as you would imagine. So it's right in their wheelhouse. And I think at this point you've met my assistant, Denisha. She will be joining their community of practice for executive assistants. So I think that's going to be a way to help strengthen her practice. And that community focuses on topics like compliance with the across and the tracks and meeting all the organizational standards. So she's a great asset to me and the whole team. So I look forward to the peer learning, or her reporting of the peer learning that she's picking up from that. Moving on to fatherhood. The citywide fatherhood plan for child well-being. So I mentioned, I think at the last couple of board meetings, that the Mayor's Children's Cabinet has been very invested in fatherhood. So they, along with the city's Young Men's Initiative, have collaborated with DYCD. And you know it's Dad's Take Your Child to School Day time. Today actually was Dad's Take Your Child to School. I'll get to that in just a second. We wanted to do something new. So in addition to the technical assistance we try to provide to the field, schools, after schools, Head Start programs, the value of their hosting programming and inviting dads in, we said, why don't we start talking to dads directly? And that fits the direction we're going with the new model. So last week we had a Zoom call with 170 dads directly. Yeah, I'm really thrilled about that. An open call to discuss Dad's Take Your Child to School, why it was happening around the city, and also to offer them technical assistance. Like if you find out that's not happening at your school next week, we can help you get it started at your school. And we had over 800 dads register. So we want to do a debrief later on with the dads that participated, the dads that throughout the day have been posting, using a hashtag or whatever, and continue to engage directly with that group. Yesterday, we presented to the Mayor's Children's Cabinet to share the good news about the 17 Fatherhood Awards that you mentioned earlier. And I want to remind those new contracts, we know who they are, who the providers are. They will launch in January. So we'll probably at the January Cabinet be able to share more about how that is unfolding. But we are very aggressively looking to orient them. The staff has a, I want to call it a training, but an orientation on October, it's either October 4th or 5th, the first week of October. So even before the contracts start, we want to take advantage of the wave and the momentum that's been put in place. So I mentioned Dad's Take Your Child to School Day. It's been a long day for the staff. I had the privilege of only having to show up just before 7 a.m., but they were there like at 5:36 or something like that. We're on the Lower East Side, where we had 40 to 50 dads and kids at the LESC Family Enrichment Center on Avenue C. Lovely breakfast, joined by Commissioner Howard. We're joined by Jason Park, who's the Chief of Staff for Deputy Mayor Ana J. Almanzar. Wonderful remarks, and then we marched the kids to school. And I was really choked up about it. So like, I don't take this stuff for granted, right? So we marched the kids to school, and then at one point someone was like, all right, dads, race ahead. So the dads, got ahead. The principal was there with a big sign, and they did a high five line. And it was just, if you saw these little kids, some of them were like really eager to do the high five, and some of them were very sheepish about it. But it wasn't just their dads giving the high five. It was all of the dads, as well as our staff and staff of the Deputy Mayor's Office, the Commissioner, just like the whole community saying, go get them. And this is the start of the school year. And also the dads and the father figures saying that we own the space together. We're gonna take care of one another. So it's really touching. It's really beautiful. I got that. Okay, so NDA initiative, just a couple of items, and still in the planning stages, but I wanted to let this group know DYC regularly joins the Department for the Aging, along with many other city agencies, when Aging Commissioner and the Mayor hold the older adult town halls. So we regularly report about the seniors program that we have here, and that's a reason why CD is usually in attendance. If it's not me, it's the Associate Commissioner and the Assistant Commissioner that attends these meetings. And so at a few of them recently, we've been hearing feedback from older adults that they want to continue to work. And well, I don't say coincidentally, happily, Youth Services recently did a hiring hall in coordination with Aging. And so the commissioner has tasked us to coordinate strategy. So Youth Services and Community Development, we've met internally, and we have a follow-up meeting in the coming weeks with DFDA to look at both continuing these hiring halls, but also some things that are directly relevant to our portfolio. So I've talked sometimes about our economic development portfolio. And one of the things that we're excited about, and the commission is very excited about, is some older adults may want to start or restart their own business rather than be a wage employee for somebody else. So we want to try to promote some braided pathways. So very excited about that. And then We'll talk a little bit more about this later on. I'll just do a bullet here. The community needs assessment is underway. So CAB members, if you touch the survey, email the survey, put your hand up. Clap it up for yourselves and your colleagues. If you didn't put your hand up, you could do it tonight before you go to bed, right? The public hearings began this week. The first 7 of the 41 hearings to be held have been held are September 16th, Bronx 7th and 8th, September 17th, Bronx 12, September 23rd, Staten Island 1, September 4th, Queens 3 and Queens 4, September 29th, Brooklyn 16, September 30th, Brooklyn 14, October 21, Brooklyn 12. So please see Anita, Susan, Karen, anyone you need to. It's on the website. You just go to the website to continue to promote. So I'll talk about the service in a second, but with regard to the hearing, we have, as you can imagine, a braided strategy. The NAB members are out there, they're letting their community know about it. DYCD staff is out there, they're letting the community know about it. We've done e-blasts to all DYC funded providers in those neighborhoods. Doesn't have to be CSBG, just know that this is happening, this is relevant to your community. And we've extended that further. So between Gloria Chin, who's our Chief of Staff, Anthony Ann, our Deputy Chief of Staff, and myself, I know that we have alerted several sister agencies, ACS, HRA, veterans, health and hospitals, probation, Mayor's Office of Gender-Based and Domestic Violence, forgetting a couple. I'm sorry, I thought I had written that down. But really trying to spread the word and aging, sorry. Where we would continue to do targeted meetings for older adults who may have ambulatory issues and they can't get to the regularly scheduled hearings. So yeah, my final item here is the paper surveys are now available in a variety of languages. Who should they speak if they need? You can approach.
On the table here.
There you go.
Surveys, we also have QR code flyers that, if you ever need more, just let us know.
If you ever need more flyers in the various languages available, just let the
wanted
staff
to
know.
shout out our representatives on the CAB who are doing incredible work.
Yeah, I said it in a lighthearted way, but I'll underscore what Anita said. So everybody put your hands up. Thank you very much. Everyone who next time will be able to put their hands up, but thank you again very, very much. This is our community, and it's a citywide needs assessment, and I appreciate the breadth and reach of all of your contacts. I appreciate your interest, and I appreciate the leverage that you enjoy to encourage other people to participate. The QR codes have made it easier than ever to get people to do the survey. We just want to continue to spread the word. We want to be fair. We want to be equitable. And I don't want to be too dry. I could talk about this a little bit later on, but I should save it for later, but I'll finish my sentence. We've done some stuff in the background so that whether you're in an NDA or you're outside of an NDA, we're still going to collect your information, but we're actually going to do a better job of making knowledge of that information. So yes, we are rooted in CSBG, but under the leadership of Commissioner Howard, the CNA really is a DYC and a citywide effort. That concludes the Commissioner's report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yes, you mentioned that you have like certain initiatives, such as the fatherhood initiative, and you went to the Board of Education to have a program over there. And I'm wondering how we can take the community needs assessment and maybe advertise it through these initiatives, even if you bring like flyers or hang up the flyer in the location in order to expand the program.
That's great. Great question. Thank you. We're striving to do just that. So Anita and her team, and actually Sarah and all of the InterGov team meets regularly with DYC's planning, program integration, and evaluation team, as well as our strategic partnerships team. So we have been looking for the past several months at not just what are the special events that our providers are doing, but any of the special events that we're aware of. So if ACS has a big fair coming up, or Aging has a big fair coming up, or any of the local electives have a big fair coming up, Strategic Partnerships is putting that on sort of a master calendar, and then we're sending DYC staff out to table. And the table could be a skirt, as we often do, but it's really also about having the flyers with the QR codes. So everyone had passed by, could you scan this please? Would you mind? This is what we're doing, right? So we will continue to do that, and anyone in the CAB, if you have events, please continue to let Anita and the team know, and we'll add those things to our calendar. And I spoke about braiding. So the staff will deploy, but obviously Anita and her team, you said with neighborhoods, and if that relates to any of the NEBs, then our NEB members are gonna wanna show up, and they're gonna participate, so.
Thank you, Anita, for your support.
So thank you again for your report. Really quickly, and I just want to elevate also what was brought up in the chat, just because I saw from one of my colleagues, Marielle, on the CEC engagement. I know that this is happening because I was at a CEC meeting, and they were able to bring it up, but they were not able to necessarily speak to the value of it. So really, I would highly encourage if folks can, from your team, can join some of those CEC meetings that are public. There are some presidents that are better than others of being in the know. We also have some community boards that are actively sharing it. And I've been out and saw your team, so kudos to that. I would love to hear a little bit, if they're in all the agencies you mentioned, I'm assuming DOE is part of that, but really making sure that information is very clearly articulated to superintendents, because if superintendents are aware, they will make sure their principals. And then within that same piece, I'm wondering, how are you asking nicely of your providers that are contracted not just in CSBG, but in all of your program services, but specifically I'm thinking about your Compass, your after school, your Cornerstone Beacon, because this is the time where they're enrolling people. So as a former provider, when I would give in that sheet, that packet that they have to fill out, why not also give out the CNA survey? So I'm just kind of curious if that's happening on the ground. And then my other question, unrelated, within the Fatherhood Initiative, are those that have been made awarded, are they public?
Let me try to address the first part.
Yes. Sorry, and I'm just coupling all. And then within the Fatherhood Initiative, just curious if there's been any work specifically for fathers with special education students. Because that, again, I'm just thinking of the after school hearing that you guys testified at, and a lot of talk around special education. I'm just wondering if there's been any conversation, if not with DYCD, at the cabinet level, specifically for families in general, but fathers of special education students, because that's a critical need and a lot of challenges there. So with that, I'm gonna.
Okay, now I'm trying to remember.
Sorry, so the first one was the DOE coordination with superintendents.
Yes. You very tactfully talked about asking people stuff nicely. And so I'll reference that as well. The New York City Public Schools, is a very large institution, just as we become larger, but they're still very large. So I would say, as someone who's been investing time in this campaign for several years, there are several tactics that we attempt to do year in and year out. One of the things that I'm encouraged about, which I think I reported about this February, when the mayor and the Children's Cabinet announced the attention they were bringing to responsible fatherhood, the public schools chancellor was there with Commissioner Howard. So she expressed support both for that generally and also for Dad Take Your Child to School. I did not walk in with the requisite details. So I have to follow up. I know that our senior managers have been in touch with a few senior managers at public schools who have helped try to elevate and circulate this. I can share anecdotally that we've had a strong relationship with, I'm going to use DOE for shorthand right now, with DOE's FACE, which is the Family and Community Engagement Team, which liaises with the parent coordinators. And so we've done that successfully for several years. And then more recently, a couple of years ago, we started focusing technical assistance to the pivot schools. Mm-hmm. So community engagement is important. And part of what those schools do, so it's maybe about 200 out of the maybe 1,300 or so schools. That said, we're always eager to explore other tactics. So if you or anyone else have particular managers or senior managers or units or neighborhoods you think we should focus on, we can do that. And one thing I'll say to the whole group, although today was Dad Take Your Child to School Day, that is a vehicle to get people in motion. What we say is if September 18th doesn't work, do it when it works for your school. So we're happy to support folks if they want to do their events in October. I think I've reported in the past couple of years, we've also done Kids Bring Your Dad to After School, and we do that in the spring. So it gives us another bite at the cherry. So this conversation is not going away, and we'll be happy to continue it. The last thing on that I'll say is I'll remind that we did the virtual call for the dads, and that was a new tactic where we are again asking nicely, if for whatever reason your school's not doing it, and you feel that your school should be doing it, we will help you to get your school doing it. So I think that's another tactic that we want to continue to try. That was the first piece. Then your second.
Special education, if there's been any
Yes,
talk.
there isn't anything explicit within the fatherhood RFP about that. However, if I haven't reported this, how long has Denise been with us? Not Denise Williams, Denise Ramirez, our other associate commissioner. Yeah, so for quite some time, we've had an associate commissioner who has helped us look at, I was trying not to use the word DEI. Sorry, like, this is the environment we're in, like, I just said, underrepresentation, I'll put it that way. And one of the things, and I just talked to her earlier today, actually, one of the things that I want to acknowledge her for is I think that she has helped the agency to simultaneously view ability and disability from multiple lenses, you know? And I have an anecdote, but I'm going to spare you for getting the details of it. So I'll carry that back, and I think it's one of several things that we can look at and we should look at for fatherhood. And then your third part.
It was just if the contracts for the fatherhood expansion, I know you said that they'll be active in January.
They were just notified, and I can follow up with you. I didn't bring them downstairs with me to tell you who the 17 awardees are. We were pleased before to report that we had at least one father provider in each of the 5 boroughs, and now we have at least 2. So hooray Staten Island, you're getting 2 awards, and everybody's getting at least that. But I can follow up with you with the distribution. Happily, most if not all of the providers that are in the initiative will remain in the initiative, and we'll be welcoming some new folks shortly. Yeah. It'll be very public shortly. I mentioned we have the orientation coming up, and we're looking to do a press release on or about October 9th, I think. Yeah. Quick. So I did do the anecdote.
Wonderful
Thank
presentation.
you.
It was today that you were up.
Oh, yeah.
Present. Okay. Forgive me.
This morning, yeah.
Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
A question around numbers. Do we have any numbers yet on the community needs assessment? Do we know which boroughs are, being very responsive?
Sure.
Which communities?
Why don't we do this then?
Because, if there are areas.
I can respond to that quickly. If there are no other questions, then we can wrap up if the chair wants to wrap up the commissioner's report, and then I'll answer that question after.
Okay, so why don't we just vote on the commissioner's report, and then Mike can.
I'll flag you that question.
Motion to accept the commissioner's report. Donovan, seconded by Hannah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, anyone abstaining, so moved. Thank you for the wonderful report.
So is
And
there
now, if you want to quickly answer Susie's question,
Oh, the
we
end.
can move on.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I had a clerical confusion. I thought that touching base on the CNA was going to be a separate item from the commissioner's report. So consider this an addendum. Or do if we want to call it a new business. Yeah. So I'm mindful of the time, and so I'll strive to be brief. So excuse me if I sort of shuttle through and try to answer Susan's question. I think folks that are generally familiar with the history and the context of what the CNA is, we don't have to spend time on that right now. So it was announced at a prior CAB meeting when the survey is open. So the timetable, you see surveys have been open since the spring, and we expect by October 15th to close. And following that will be the period of analysis and reporting. So this answers your questions, what we've got so far. And this is a percentage of the target met. I complimented colleagues about our improved methodologies, so it's easier for us to cut data various ways. Yeah, we'll send a copy of the slides. So, work is underway. We are very proud. I make a point of going to the meetings and clapping up for colleagues so they don't think that I'm being dour. Right, till we actually get to 100%, I'm a little bit like this. But 26% is great, and we hadn't even started doing the hearings yet. So with the hearings, of the first hearing, you said there were 75 attendees?
Yes.
So they have an opportunity, if they haven't already taken the survey, to do that while they're on site. So we want to continue with those numbers.
Two surveys.
Yes. I also don't think this includes the paper surveys that we've started. This is based on electronic responses received. So we expect there'll be a bump as the vendor continues to do that. So we're in okay shape, and it's very much underway. We want to continue. I think there's another slide. Oh, I'm sorry. That data source. We mentioned this. I may not have mentioned this in 3 years, but like DYC is in possession of some pretty large email lists. So hopefully people don't feel like we are spamming them. One of my favorites is every young person who applies for SYP. So even if the response rate is very low, I think it's important that the agency says, well, you care about this, maybe you care about that as well. So there's various techniques that we will continue to employ. And so you can also see your neighborhoods, and as the color gets more intense, you can see the density. So why is this useful? It's useful to us as managers to see where the surveys are coming in from. So Anita and her team can talk to particular NABs, like, you're doing great, keep it going. Or it's like, your neighbors are doing great, make sure you get out there. And it also helps DYC itself, as I mentioned to your question earlier about deploying. It's like, oh, you really need to get into that particular NTA or that neighborhood again quickly. And that's it. So everyone has received this toolkit previously. Feel free to share with any stakeholders you think should also do it and want to take advantage of it. And across the agency, I've detailed some of our tactics. And again, we're encouraging, asking nicely, other city agencies to have the bandwidth to help share this, put this in their newsletters, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you. So that, whatever that is, that concludes that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. All the surveys required.
Okay.
So if you want certain languages for your community, just let us know.
Thank you, Anita. Moving along, the executive committee met on August 28th. The meeting began at 6:16. We discussed and voted on tonight's agenda. Then we had a presentation about the CSBG refunding application for fiscal year 2026. There was question and answer period in regard to it. Then each one of the vice chair people gave a review of their committee meetings. There was no old business, there was no new business, and the executive committee meeting adjourned at 6:45 p.m. I now ask.
Mr. Chair, since it was the refunding application that was presented, can we ask for a vote? Because everybody has the minutes.
So everybody in their packet has a copy of the refunding application. So feel free to look at it and see what was presented at the meeting.
No, it's okay.
No. It gives me great pleasure to ask my dear colleague, the first vice chair of the governance committee, Gregory Hamburg, to present his report. Unfortunately, his family members had COVID and he's feeling a little bit under the weather, so out of precaution and safety, he decided to join us via Zoom. Our best wishes for a speedy recovery to everyone in his family, and we look forward to seeing him in person at the next meeting. Greg, if you can be so kind and present the governance committee report.
Appreciate that, Mr. Chair, good evening, good to hear and see everyone. And sorry again that I'm not there, I'm very seldom misrepresenting the meeting in person, but will surely make my way back at the next meeting. Also want to take the opportunity to welcome all the new members that were appointed today, with a special shout out to Elton Robinson. Glenn, it's good to see you joining. The CAB, Kim and I go back maybe about 15 years and work closely together in partnerships with some of the CEOs she's worked with. So excited that she was a part of this body and is serious about this work. The governance meeting met on Wednesday, August 27th. As part of the agenda, we discussed, as always, the vacancies in the low income sector and the public sector. As you already heard, there were elections on the way at that time, all the way to most recently for a lot of the low income sectors, and that's represented today by the claims that were made when the chair was making his opening remarks. So great to hear that. We moved forward in that. We just got the absences, there were 6 members absent from our joint meeting, and we made quorum. Great that we're continuing to make quorum. If you look in your packet, I'm not going to read every aspect of it, but there is some important information about what we're proposing in terms of changing the bylaws regarding our membership. So if you recall at the last meeting, the Department of State during their audit gave us a deadline, which was at the time, August of this year, to fill all our vacancies. Our bylaws stated that we have a 45-member membership, and we have struggled to build that membership. And we all know pre-COVID that hadn't been a challenge, but post-COVID, although that's not the only reason, but that's one of the challenges that existed once we started meeting again in person. So as a result, Anita and her team evaluated the membership to look at ways to reduce the current total number of memberships. The Department of State said 45 is a pretty big number, and we should move that we're lowering that number. So if you look in the packet, it has the different proposed actions and the various areas of representation in terms of reducing the number of memberships, combining some of the low income sector regional reps, which makes sense. It was also proposed that we reduce the number of chairperson representatives as well. And of course, we highlighted the fact that in the public sector, although there have been mayoral appointees, there hasn't been consistent representation at the meeting. So the governance committee, as well as everyone that attended, someone on this call, Donovan, Mark, up here, Linda Walters, and some others, really shared our feedback and supported what Andy and the team have put together and what we're proposing in terms of our membership, which will knock it down from 45 members to 35 members. The next step is, I believe, and Anita can help me with this has to go through legal, once it passes through legal, we will discuss it again in governance meeting, and then be prepared to share with this body to vote to amend the membership. So that was the discussion that took place in the huge part of the meeting. Before I ask some questions, I'm going to ask the leader or the chair, did I miss anything in terms of what took place with that meeting?
No, you didn't. You got everything.
Okay.
You did very well, Greg. Feel better.
Mr. Chair, okay.
Great, thank you for that
I
report.
will entertain questions and I'll turn it back over to you.
Greg, thank you for the report. Feel better. My best to you and your family. We'll
Thank you so
now
much.
entertain a motion to accept the governance committee report. Donovan, seconded by. All those in favor say aye. Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Now we ask the distinguished Donovan Swanson, chairperson of the program committee, to present his report.
All right, keeping it short and sweet. We met on August 13th. For anyone not familiar with the programs committee, we typically hear from providers in any number of the contracted areas. It's great to always hear on the work and what it looks like on the ground. We had the pleasure, representing the Brooklyn Borough President's Office, happy to hear from Brooklyn Community Services that talk about a number of their programs, reminding us also that all the programs that we hear are not all CSBG funded, but they offer a wealth of services, anywhere from case management, mental health, residence, housing referral, Compass contracting, Cornerstone Beacon, paid internships, senior intergenerational programs, community, and so on and so forth, all in your packet. The specific area that we heard from them was on economic development and their programming. For those not familiar, which a lot of us on the call, that was our first time hearing more about that work, but specifically is helping community folks on becoming entrepreneurs and providing technical assistance, capacity building, specifically in their own businesses. And we saw a lovely video that DYCD supported BCS in making to hear from someone that kind of started their own dog walker business or dog sitting business, and the number of services that they were willing to offer, and that their contract allows for up to a number of participants, even outside their NDA. So it was just super great to hear about that. Again, it's in your packet, so I'm not going to repeat all these things. They talk about eligibility, what all of the different workshops include. One flag that I'm always going to say, just because in the space of DYCD, I strategically asked, what does it look like with recruiting and staffing these types of programs, especially for something so technical? And they did express a challenge there, right? And understanding that we have the right size and pay for that kind of technical experience. Otherwise, we had a very productive meeting, and we closed out and adjourned at 6:49 p.m., and that is my report.
Thank you very much. We'll entertain a motion to accept the report. Motion to accept. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Last but certainly not least, somebody who needs no introduction, Susie Tenenbaum, if you can please present the strategic partnership committee. Okay, I don't have to add the distinguished because everybody knows it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Good evening, everyone. So I represent Borough President Donovan Richards of Queens. The CAB and I chair the Strategic Partnership Committee. You are all welcome to attend the committee, attend virtually. We have some really great conversations. So appreciate all of you who do come to these meetings. Our meeting was held the day after the program committee meeting on Thursday, August 14th. Our main topic, our main presentation was from Anita Antonetti, and it was on the community needs assessment. Our deputy commissioner gave an excellent presentation and report on the CNA. So I'm not going to say very much, except and many of you are doing the work, so I don't need to tell you anything. But just for the record, as was said, the CNA can be completed online or in paper. It's available in multiple languages. And the deadlines for the electronic version is in September, presumably.
The end of September.
The end of September.
But,
and the paper version is available until mid-October. Yes,
end
October
of
15th.
October.
It's now end of October.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Okay. Either way, this means that we have more time, we all have more time to encourage our community members to complete the CNA you can be sure I'm gonna be looking for the PowerPoint to share with my
Yes.
office and my colleagues
Good.
and boost those numbers. So that was the CNA. The NAB membership report, which Anita gave, in Susan's absence, because she was away. We have, out of a total of 492 seats on the NAB, 252 were filled as of mid-August. Sounds like that has changed a little bit in a
Little bit.
positive direction.
Yeah.
But that's 51% of the seats that are filled. At that time, there were 61 DYCD seats vacant and 156 elected official seats vacant. So as always, we had a really robust conversation about ways we could assist the NAB units, strategies we could try to approach our elected officials to fill those vacancies. And the new business was, or maybe that was old business by then, was that Anita has arranged for us to have a WhatsApp group so we can continue to share best practices in between meetings and figure out how to help fill those vacancies. And our meeting adjourned at 6 p.m. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished chairperson for her report. We'll now officially go to accept this strategic partnership committee. Hannah, motion to accept Hannah, seconded by Donovan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Any old business?
Who made the motion?
Hannah,
Oh, Hannah.
Donovan, and that's it. I need any old business?
No business.
New business, you all were required per New York State Department of State that you complete a conflict of interest declaration every year. It was presented to you when you walked in. Our next meeting.
Can I just interrupt a second?
Absolutely.
The people who are online, we're going to send you the conflict of interest form and the contact form by email. And you can just fill it out and send it back to us. We're required by the Department of State, as the chairman said, to have it, and they will ding us on it if we don't have it.
Okay.
So you'll hear from me shortly.
Perfect, thank you. So the next meeting will be November 20th, Thursday, November 20th. I want to thank Anita and her staff for the hard work in putting together this meeting and encouraging people to come. And more importantly, I thank each of you who took the time. I know Gideon, you were stuck and, it was a hassle for you to get here and other people as well. I thank you for the efforts you make to come and be here, but participate and be part of this wonderful group. So thank you all very, very much for it. It's greatly appreciated. Before I close, as the Jewish New Year begins next week, I want to wish every one of you, as we say, Shana Tova Umtuka, which translates to a good and sweet new year. So wishing everyone health, happiness, prosperity, and all the very best to all of you. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:23 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Donovan, second by Hannah. All those in favor say aye. Any nays? Anyone abstaining? So moved. Thank you, Mike. I think you should go home and get some rest.
Anybody who came in late, that we walked past, what's your name?
Gideon Dunkley.
I'm sorry?
Gideon Dunkley.
Gideon.
Morris Heights.
Hold on a second, I'm not there.
Morris Heights. Morris Heights.
Morris. I really am not there.
It's on the second.
No. Oh, yeah. And somebody who else? Like, the lady in the white.
It's been a long day. Yeah, I think everyone feels like it's a long